Tonight we're studying Parashat Vayechi, and Rav Shimshon Pincus is sharing with us a fascinating chidush. This week we learn about the last 17 years of Yaakov's life in Egypt, which happened to be the best years of his life. Yaakov Avinu had a difficult life, but this last 17 years when he was reunited with Yosef and was able to see Yosef in his prime, providing for the world and for his family, really brought a lot of joy to Yaakov. The pasuk, this is in chapter 49, verse 1, says as follows: Vayikra Yaakov el banav. This is at the end of his life, and he wants to bless all of his children, but also Vayomer he'asifu ve'agid alechem et asher yikra etchem b'achrit hayamim. He says, gather and I will tell you what will happen to you at the end of the days. Rashi explains, very famously known, that at this point, Yaakov Avinu was gathering his family and wanted to share with them when the moment, the date of Mashiach was going to come. If you continue reading, you don't see him mention it. And that is because he actually forgot it. Rashi explains, well, this is actually based on the Talmud. The Talmud in Masechet Psachim tells us, at that point he wanted to reveal to them the moment of Mashiach, and Hashem made him forget it at that time. And then his children see him, pause, and he tells them, maybe one of you are not kosher or committed enough to Hashem, and that's why I forgot what I want to tell you. So they all answer, Shema Israel, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, famous verse of Shema. And Yaakov, the Talmud answers back, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. And the Talmud ends off, because Yaakov answered this, that's why we answer Baruch Shem Kevod after Shema Israel quietly when we do Shema. That's what the Talmud says. So Rav Pincus now wants to analyze a fundamental which we may take for granted. He says Shema Israel is the basis of Judaism. Twice a day we are obligated to say Shema. From the Torah, at least, there's really more, but at least from the Torah, twice a day, morning and night, we recite the Shema, accepting upon ourselves all Malchut Shemaim, the yoke of Hashem upon us. It's also every Jew's dream to pass away in our old age while reciting our last words, Shema Israel. That's what we all look forward to. But if we look at the Shema, the first paragraph comes from Parashat Vayechi. The second paragraph comes from Parashat Ekev. And the third paragraph comes from Parashat Shlach, the Parashat Tzitzit, all from the Torah. The addition of Baruch Shem Kevod Malchut Olam Vaed, however, is not found in the Torah. It's not written in the Torah. It's an ancient tradition that we have based on this Talmud that Yaakov Avinu said this praise after hearing his children say Shema Israel. So Rav Pincus wants to know, why is it that we say it quietly? We say the other three paragraphs out loud. Why is Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto said quietly? And he gives three interpretations. First interpretation is based on the Rambam. Maimonides says that Yaakov Avinu saw all 12 of his children, and they were each unique and different in their own way, a tribe, a nation in their own right. We've spoken about this before. Now, Yaakov doubted maybe one of them doesn't really agree or understand or hold the same way, the same level as me of how Hashem is one and only one. Not that chas v'shalom that they would ever not believe in Hashem, but maybe one of them would think, oh, why does my brother have more than me? Or why does he get more than me? Like, for example, maybe Issachar would think, oh, why am I not like the tribe of Levi that has all that great heritage, that yichus of Kohen and Levi? And then maybe another brother will say, oh, why can't I be like Zevulun, who has so much wealth. But then, so Yaakov was doubting. Maybe they don't have clear, understanding of what Hashem being one means. But then when they answered all together, Shema Israel, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Hashem is one, the only one. Now they prove to him that they are all united as one, and they love Hashem as one, just as Yaakov Avinu does. That's why he answered Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Olam Vaed as a praise, because he was praising, oh, Baruch Hashem, all my kids are at that level. So basically the Rambam says, since Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto was not written in the Torah, it's read quietly to show the difference, that it wasn't written in the Torah. That's the only reason why. First answer. Second answer is based on the Talmud. The Talmud Masechet Psachim, page 56b, says that you can understand the matter through a parable. The reason why Baruch Shem is said quietly. The parable is of a princess who was eating along with all of the noblemen, noble people, and she smelled something so amazing. Amongst all the delicacies that they were eating and being served, she smelled something that she absolutely wanted, and when she found out what it was actually the burnt sauce at the bottom of the pot. That's exactly what she wanted. So when the servers and the chef all heard what she wanted, they didn't know what to do. They said, well, on one hand, how could they bring a pot with burnt soup at the bottom of it, burnt sauce at the bottom of it to the princess? It's degrading. But on the other hand, how could they say no to her? It wasn't dignified to bring the soup pot to the table, but they also can't say no to her. So they went to her and they told her, come. They brought her to a quiet room, alone, without anybody, so that she could enjoy it. But at the same time, maintaining her dignity and honor so no one would see her scraping the bottom of the pot with the burnt sauce. What's the lesson of this parable? That it's not honorable, it's not dignified to say Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Olam Vaed out loud. Because it's too good, it's too tasty, it's so true. But that's why it has to be said quietly. The Nefesh HaChaim, Rav Chaim Volozhin explains that really Shema Israel is the truth, it's the complete truth. Hashem is the one and the only one, that's obviously true. Baruch Shem is asking that hopefully soon Hashem's honor will be obvious and spread throughout the world. That everyone will feel the same closeness to Hashem. It's not enough that Hashem is one, because so many people don't even know about Hashem. Rav Pincus explains, our hope is that everyone will recognize and appreciate and respect Hashem's greatness and love and fear him. So therefore, Shema Israel is the truth. That's said out loud. Baruch Shem is a request that it should be obvious to all. Which is a greater praise? Pincus says Shema Israel is the greater praise because it's the truth. For sure, Baruch Shem isn't just a praise, a simple praise, because to Hashem, what's the world? The world is something very small and insignificant to Hashem in the grand scheme of things. It's just in his humility, he decreed that the chosen people should be the ones that connect to him. But it's almost like an insult that explains the Nefesh HaChaim to say, Hashem is the king over the world. It's imagine saying that, oh yeah, you're the king of a mound of ants. Is that any honor? No, it's disrespectful. It's an insult. So really, it would be so great, of course, for the world to see Hashem and to find Hashem. But Hashem is really worth so much more than just king of the world and all of us in here. So the answer is, why do we say Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Olam Vaed quietly, silently, according to the second answer? Is because it's true. It's so true that Hashem really, really rules over us. But it's not honorable to mention that out loud. So that's why Shema Israel is out loud. Hashem's one, the only one. Baruch Shem, his kavod, his honor, Malchuto L'olam Vayed is forever. That's so true, so sweet, like the mashal. But it's not honorable to mention that out loud. Third answer. The Maharal, Rabbi Yehuda Lo ben Betzalel, famously known as the Maharal MiPrague, he explains that really opposite the Nefesh HaChaim, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto is a greater praise than Shema Israel. And that's why every Jew says Shema out loud. But only Yaakov Avinu can say Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto out loud. Because he's at a high enough level to understand the proper intentions of what that praise means. For example, if you go and you tell an ignorant person that a very, very, very wise, high-level person, a Gadol Ador, a great person of the generation is coming, they can't understand. They can't even connect to it because they don't appreciate the value of that person. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto is such a deep and powerful praise that most can't connect to it, and that's why we can't even say it and mention it out loud. Because we wouldn't even understand the proper depth and intention. So according to the Maharal, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto is a greater praise. So Reb Leib says, it seems like we have a dispute between the Nefesh HaChaim and the Maharal. Which one's better? The Nefesh HaChaim says Shema Israel is a greater praise, and the Maharal says that Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto is a greater praise. So which one's really greater? He wants to know. So to end off, he says, really, that's not an argument at all. They both really hold the same thing. Really, Shema Israel means Hashem created the entire universe, something from nothing. Everything is His. And He is the one almighty, all-capable, and the only one. And that it isn't as great and obvious that Hashem rules over the entire world and each of us, because that's degrading, says the Nefesh HaChaim. But that's the exact mistake of all the philosophers. The philosophers think Hashem is aloof and He's disconnected with the world, chas v'shalom. Doesn't really care of our deeds. No, Hashem does. Hashem cares about every single one of us, all our thoughts, all our actions. And that's a deep concept to understand and internalize. So yes, the majority of people only can connect to Shema Israel, and that's why it's greater for everybody. But there's a very high level of minority that understand what Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto really means. Hashem's involvement in every little aspect of the world. And that is greater if you can reach that level. Because that proves that Hashem is all capable and involved in every minute aspect of the universe. So these are thoughts that we can have when we do Shema Israel. Shema Israel is literally the foundation of Judaism. All young children and adults, we all know Shema Israel. But now we have a new aspect of looking at this Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto L'olam Vayed. It comes from Yaakov. And it was a praise that he said when he realized that all of them are united and understand that Hashem is one and the only one. And that they accept everything that comes from Hashem as one because it's only coming from Hashem. But now, why do we say it quietly? So let's review. The first answer from the Rambam was because that line wasn't mentioned in the Torah itself. That's the first answer. The Nefesh HaChaim says, well, really, because Shema Israel, to show that Shema Israel is a greater praise than Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto L'olam Vayed, because that's somewhat degrading, Baruch Shem Kivod. The Maharal comes and says, no, Baruch Shem Kivod is a much greater praise. It just has to be said quietly because it's such a high level. And then Rav Pincus says, no, really, they're not arguing. Really, they're both amazing. Shema Israel is absolutely great, and that's for everybody. And for the select few that can understand the depth and something that we should all attain to and aspire to, is to understand how Hashem is involved in every little, minute, small detail and aspect of our lives. Because when we involve Him in our lives, He'll be there. That's a very high level, and that's why it's said low. So may HaKadosh Baruch Hu bless us that will involve Hashem in every aspect of our life. We'll understand that His oneness and all-powerful almightiness and all-capableness is unique to Him. And we will know that we'll have Him to rely on, to trust, to believe, and to love. And pass this on to our children. It's not for granted that one of the first things we choose our children, especially us Sephardic Jews, to read and to read in front of the community is the Shema Israel. It's the backbone of our faith, and it must be transmitted to our children and our grandchildren. Amen. Amen.